Hey guys, Dr. Mike Israetel here for Renaissance Periodization and Juggernaut Training Systems. And, so we've been critiquing and will continue to critique a variety of powerlifting and weightlifting and other general training styles, training programs, training approaches. And, we're not doing this because we want to attack other styles and say that our own styles that we're promoting are flawless. Absolutely not. I'm a scientist by trade, and in science, objectivity and ruthless self-criticism is critical to being as close as you can to the truth. My interests, as far as making training programs, Chad's interests and Max Ada's interests, are in finding out what works the best. And we think our programs are pretty cool, but we also know they're not the best that could be, and we're always working on improving them. So just like we've got training critiques of other programs that we weren't associated with the construction of, we've got training critiques of our own programs. And today what I'll be talking to you guys about is a training critique of the RP strength training or powerlifting templates. These are templates that are available for purchase and digital download for renaissanceperiodization.com. And myself and a couple other folks at RP, we designed them specifically to be basically auto-regulatory, self-running powerlifting programs that adjust to a couple of variables. You pick the exercises, you type in your average strength on exercises, a program pops out and it lets you guide yourself into what hopefully is very good improvement in performance. We're very proud of these templates. I think they work great. That's why I designed them. We would never design and sell something that didn't work or work very well. But in the interest of being totally honest and scientific progression and kind of promoting a lot of thinking in this sport, the templates aren't perfect. And today we'll talk to you guys about some of the weaknesses and disadvantages of the templates and their advantages as well, just like we've been going through all these other programs. A couple points here for you. First point is that on all the scientific principles of strength training, which is the book which I co-authored, all the principles, there's great marks. We're not going to go through today as a unique format, because if we go with the overload, specificity, fatigue management, it would get great marks on all of them. It was designed based on them. There's one principle, however, and we're going to talk in depth about all of the other ways that this template falls short. It's not the best. Because it is a template, it comes up very short on the principle of individual difference. And a couple of other related tangents from that are the main weaknesses of the template. So let's go through those individually and see what those main weaknesses are and kind of just explain and chat about them a little bit. First point here, point number 2 in the chart. The templates are not well tested compared to a variety of other time-tested powerlifting programs. If you run a Westside template or a Westside style program, if you run 5-3-1, if you run even something like 5x5, how many people use those programs? Oh man, hundreds of thousands? Over how many years? Well, literally decades for some of those programs. The RP templates have been around for about a year, produced a ton of great success stories. We've learned a lot about how things work, but can we say it's remotely like the popular powerlifting programs? No way. Does that mean you're not supposed to use them? Of course not. But can we say that they're super time tested and they definitely work as well as we think? No, it's a relatively new and thus experimental product. If you've tried the other things and they don't work for you that well, or you want to switch it up, we absolutely encourage you to try the powerlifting templates. But there's some risk involved. They just don't have that time-tested nature behind them. Next point. The templates, because they're templates, they have to have some inherent rigidity. One of the elements of rigidity is that the percentages of progression from week to week or phase to phase are relatively set in stone. Now, there's some play in the individual difference. You can rate things as hard or medium or light, and it changes some of the volumes involved, but it doesn't really change the percentages a whole lot for most of the phases. So some people have asked questions like, this seems a little heavy in this phase. Why is it 97.5% instead of 96 or instead of 95? There's no good answer to that. Those are the percentages we looked at examining our own experiences and examining the literature. They make logical sense within the context of the program. But are they the optimal ideal percentages for everyone? Probably not. So the percentages are a bit tenuous in the fact that they're very good guesses, they're very good approximated percentages, but they're not going to fit well for everyone. And there may be some elements of the templates, as we refine and learn more, that the percentages could get more precise or better. So there is one downside right there. Very related, another tenuous part of the template into something it just assumes a very general nature is the length of the phases. So a lot of the phases are 5 weeks long and some of the phases are 4 weeks long. If you have a meet coming up in maybe 3 months and you'd like to run all 3 phases or something like that, that literally might not happen. You'll have to shorten some phases, which means you have to cut the templates off at kind of arbitrary time points. Does that optimally align your training? Probably not. Is that going to be as good of training as a powerlifting coach who makes a training program, a whole program for you? You know when your meet is, you sit down, or if you do it yourself, and align all the phases and give them the phase lengths you've determined most optimal. It can't compete with that. If you have plenty of time and if the meet lines up really well, or if you kind of do your own thing to let time expire and then start the templates to line them up for a meet, is that a good idea? Totally, you bet. Are there some folks who maybe will benefit from shorter training blocks because of their training age or their muscle fiber type or the way they recover? Totally. Are there some people that could benefit from longer training blocks? So some people might do 3 week up, 1 week down would be best for them. Most of our templates are 4 weeks up, 1 week down. Totally, those people will not be served optimally by the templates. On the other side, some people might be able to make 6 or 7 week progression and then with just 1 down week. They're also misserved by the templates because the templates are usually 4 up, 1 down. So these phase lengths are a bit tenuous. They work for most people at most times, but they're going to miss some people. So that's definitely a downside of the template, something that's not the downside of a powerlifting coach, for example. In general, the individual differences allotted for the templates are very small. You get to pick your exercises for the most part, even though in peaking you only get to pick a couple because you have to do all the basic competition, squat competition, bench competition, deadlift. You get to pick your exercise, you get to pick how strong you are at the exercises, and you get to alter the volumes, right? How many sets, working sets you do per day based on how you're recovering. That's about all the individual difference that plays into that. And the exercise list that you get to pick from, you can always add to it. You can say another exercise of my choice. But if you're looking for the templates to give you a real big creative insight on training, it's probably not what they're designed for. They're designed to get the basics done really, really well. If you want a lot of creativity, if you have a lot of special demands, you say, okay, look, my elbows are totally done. I need something that doesn't involve my elbows, and I need to get my bench up somehow. I can train around, do a lot of chest work, maybe a lot of shoulder work, and not a whole lot of tricep stuff or something. The templates probably aren't great for you. If you're working around injury, you probably would benefit much more from the particular attention of a coach. If you're healthy, if you're strong, everything's going fine, and you've been kind of lost with all these weird nitpicky particulars, you've been doing a lot of exotic lockout work and bands and all these weird little programs and little mini peaking phases, and you just want to set yourself back to some meat and potatoes, good, awesome, heavy work that'll get you strong, that's what the templates are for. For special concerns, considerations, where individual differences shine, they're just not going to be that good. It's a template, it's not designed for that. Second to last point, there is absolutely something to be said for when you're taking advice from someone on a sport, how many people they've coached in that sport that were awesome, and how good they were themselves. Yes, just using that is a real terrible idea. There are a lot of unbelievable powerlifters out there that probably can't, bang 2 rocks together as far as training is concerned. They have no idea what's going on. They're just jacked out of their minds and strong. They've always been strong. They do half the shit is completely dumb, and they just as long as they do it right, they get to be some of the best people ever. So if you're looking for a powerlifting coach or someone who designs a product involving powerlifting, just going on individual results is not a good idea. If you go on individual results and how many people that person has coached that were really good, that now bumps up their credibility quite a bit. Not only have they made themselves strong, they seem to have been associated with other strong people. Now that could be an artifact of recruiting. When you're strong, other strong people come to you because they want to be more like you. And that, they also have really good genetics. And even the kind of weird, maybe not the best programs, if you get enough good people, you can just say, hey, look, everyone's getting strong on my program. However, there's limits to that. If you're really good yourself, and if you seem to have made a lot of other people good, there's probably a good chance you got something going for you, and a lot of design elements are correct. So while a technical background in powerlifting, degrees in biomechanics, etc., experience coaching, even maybe not so good people, are all valuable, I have a ton of those, and the other creators of the templates have a ton of that. We're not that good at powerlifting. I mean, compared to average people, we're mythically strong, but compared to the average powerlifter, we're probably a bit better, and compared to really good powerlifters, we're not that good. And elite, no way, right? So that's definitely a downside. You could say, oh, who's the primary designer of the powerlifting templates? Oh, Dr. Mike Israetel, what are his lifts? Meh. And you'd be 100% valid. Is it the whole part of the equation? No way. If you're intermediate or advanced, and you're not super elite, and you're still not as good as I was at my prime in powerlifting, maybe you could say, okay, he's pretty strong, but he's not as strong as this other lifter who's way strong. Is that the whole picture? No way. But it's something to take into consideration, for sure. So if you have, especially if you're a super elite lifter, maybe trusting me is a good idea and maybe it's not the best idea. As I say, maybe he just doesn't understand what lifting feels like literally under the bar at 800, 900, 1,000 pounds. That's probably correct. And I probably make some mistakes in template design based on that. And that kind of leads into the last point. The templates are very good for beginners, although for very new beginners, less than 6 months of training, we recommend working with a power lifter who knows what they're doing or a coach to establish good technique. Before you even get to training really hard, you got to get good with the lifts. That's something Eastern European countries do, that they make sure that all the lifters have technical abilities before they let them really at those weights. We don't do that as much in America, and we suffer for it. You see guys who are really strong who will make like junior mistakes in the lifts, and you're like, what the hell? He's so strong. How come he's doing that? Because he didn't start out with a good base of technique. So we very highly recommend not just getting into templates, but getting a coach or getting around some lifters that teach good technique, and for at least 6 months practicing technique with higher repetitions, lighter loads, and then getting into the heavy stuff. It's great for intermediate and advanced competitors. That's who it's designed for. If you're an intermediate competitor and you're tired of program hopping and all these weird little tricks and quirks, we literally made the templates for you. That's what they're for. Meat and potatoes, awesome, strong powerlifting templates. However, we do not recommend them for elite competitors. If you're elite, if you're a high-level competitor, you have to have either a really good powerlifting coach writing you personalized programs, or you got to write programs yourself. Probably a mix of the two is best, where you consult a coach. They kind of give you a general guideline and call you on your shit every now and again, and you make sure to take their advice and devise programs. A lot of times elite guys have to alter their programming day by day, just how they feel, because at those loads, you can't always be good to squat 800 even if you plan on it. So elite competitors need to either coach themselves or get a really good powerlifting coach, probably a combination of the two. Templates are out of the question. We would never claim that the templates are good for anyone at a super, super high level. Our nutritional work, we work with people at a very high level. Even our nutritional templates can work up to a super high level. Not the same for powerlifting templates. So just to kind of reiterate and review, are the templates an awesome product we're really proud of? Totally. Do they score really well on almost all the scientific principles of training? We better hope so. I wrote the book and I made the templates. There's a lot of really good stuff going on there. Do the templates suffer from some limitations? Absolutely, particularly in the area of individual difference. If you're an intermediate or advanced lifter, or if you're a beginner that's got plenty of good technique base in the power lifts, and you're tired of running around from program to program, you want something that's cheap and super effective, then the templates are for you. If you have all sorts of individual considerations, maybe a long injury history, maybe a lot of really sore joints or annoying this and that, if you have a super specialized physique and maybe focus on one lift versus the other, or if you're a high-level lifter, the templates probably won't be your best bet. So trying to be completely honest here, giving you a very objective view of everything, including our products. Our goal here at Renaissance and at Juggernaut is to try to get as close to the truth as possible. Yes, we're always developing products that go to the truth as closely as possible, but once we have them, our hope is that we can critique them as mercilessly as we critique everything else, so we can improve our own products the best, and that everyone can improve, so we can eventually have better and better and better training as time goes on. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in.